Hello everyone, welcome back to more political chatter. We're doing another 2024 election prediction, and this election prediction is between Joe Biden and Ted Cruz. Now, Joe Biden in 2024 will likely run for re-election. He said that if he is in good health, then he will run for re-election. Now, that may not be the best move for the Democratic Party to nominate him again. However, he is the frontrunner for the nomination, and he will likely be in good health, and therefore he will likely win the nomination. Now, I do a lot of Biden versus whoever scenarios, and I do a lot of Trump versus whoever scenarios also. So, we're doing a Biden versus whoever scenario this time, and it's Ted Cruz. I haven't done him in a few months. I haven't done him in a while, but Ted Cruz, the senator from Texas, infamous among the Democratic Party, not very popular at all. I mean, he only won re-election in 2018 in a pretty red state, the state of Texas, by 3% over Beto O'Rourke, right? So, and O'Rourke was very little known, while Ted Cruz was very, very well known. So, I mean, even among his own party, the thing is that Ted Cruz is very unlikable. I mean, Donald Trump called him Lying Ted, and then, of course, when Trump is elected, they join together, and they're like, oh, yeah, but when they're fighting for the nomination, they hate each other. And actually, Beto used that against Cruz during the debate once. Anyway, but yeah, let's get into it. So, Biden, California, Washington, Hawaii, Illinois, D.C., Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey. We'll leave New Jersey. Vermont, Massachusetts, New York, Maine's first, and Rhode Island. That's about it. There's going to be more safe states for the Democratic Party. Don't worry. Now, when we go back to 2016, the states that are supposed to be solid Democratic, right? Hillary Clinton won by likely margins. Those are the states of Oregon, Delaware, New Jersey, and Connecticut, and Maine's first, but I do think that Biden would be able to win that by a solid margin. But Delaware, I already filled in because that is Biden's home state, and voters will turn out for him in his home state. But because Ted Cruz is Ted Cruz, Democrats will want to turn out more. That's the difference, and that's why Ted Cruz will be weaker than Ron DeSantis, someone who's more popular. I mean, there's not a lot of Republicans who have publicly expressed interest, but as I said, DeSantis. I mean, even Trump. Cruz is very unpopular. He's very far right. He's very conservative. He's a big Trump supporter. So like in a state that usually goes Democratic, like Oregon, I think that will be solid. I don't think it will be likely because more Democrats. My point is, that was a little confusing, but my point is, more Democrats are going to turn out for Biden in a scenario where Biden is facing off against Cruz because more people hate Cruz than other Republicans, right, like Ron DeSantis or Donald Trump. The same goes for New Jersey and Connecticut. I was just trying to make a point there. So, let's get into these other states. Moving on. So I do think that these would be the safe states for the Democratic Party. I think these will be the only safe states that we will see. I mean, Virginia won't be safe. Nebraska second won't be safe. I mean, New Hampshire won't be safe. None of these other states will be safe for him. And that leaves the Democratic Party with 183 electoral votes. Now, going to the safe states for Ted Cruz, there's going to be a lot, not necessarily a lot of electoral votes, but there will be a lot. Utah will be one. Wyoming will be one, Idaho will be one, and Montana will. These four. Big Republican. I don't think Montana did go likely for Trump, but, this isn't a state where, I mean, this is just more conservative than liberal state. There's a lot more conservatives than liberals in the state of Montana. North Dakota and South Dakota, I think, would go red. Kansas, I do think, would flip back into that solid Republican column. Oklahoma would be solid. Nebraska at large would be solid. Nebraska's first and third would be solid. Now we go back to 2020. Trump did win Nebraska's first by 14.9%, 0.1 away from going to a solid margin. So I do think that this is a district, unlike Oregon, New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware. I think this is a state where Ted Cruz will be more acceptable here, and Democrats won't turn out as much as they will in Oregon, New Jersey, Connecticut, etc. Louisiana, Arkansas, and Missouri will stay red. Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, West Virginia. At this point in time, I really do see Indiana staying safe just because of Biden's unpopularity. Remember, Biden is unpopular. It's as simple as that. These will be the solid states for Ted Cruz. There's not really any major surprises here. Indiana might be our closest to a surprise, or maybe Kansas or Montana or Nebraska's first. But I don't see these states being likely just because of Biden's unpopularity. And remember, in these redder states, Biden supporters will turn out less because these are more conservative states where they won't mind. Even Democrats are more generally conservative, who will not mind Ted Cruz as citizens might in bluer states. Moving on, Iowa and Ohio. Well, let me go to likely Biden states since we did safe Biden, likely Cruz, and now let's go to Biden again. Let's do likely states for the president. Are there any? Yes. I would characterize Virginia as a likely state for the Democratic Party. Sure, going to the gubernatorial elections, Youngkin won by 1.9%. And no one expected Youngkin to win. And sure, 1.9% is, if people expected Youngkin to win, it was going to be less than a percentage point. Then he pulls out a win by 1.9%, right? So it's kind of crazy that he won. Props to him. But going to 2020, this is a state that has rejected Trump over and over. Virginia really doesn't like Trump and left and right policies, far right policies. Now, here's where that thing of Democrats turning out in bluer states more than Democrats turning out in redder states comes into play. Because Virginia, unlike Indiana, Kentucky, Missouri, this is a more generally liberal state rather than a generally conservative state. So, more people in Virginia will reject Cruz, and mixed with his unlikability, yeah, that's a word, right? Unlikability, I don't see him doing very well here. I do think this would be pretty narrow to becoming lean. I think Biden will carry it by around 5 to 6% against Cruz. And again, that's just because of his unpopularity. But Cruz is unlikable. And some Trump supporters might not even turn out for Cruz after the remarks Trump made about Cruz during the 2016 campaign. Moving on. Alright, so as I said, that's going to... that's going to be our only likely state for Biden. I really think so. Now, likely states for Cruz, there will be a few. Oh, sorry, Maine at large will be likely for Biden. Sorry. Maine second will go to Cruz by a likely margin. We were expecting this to be pretty narrow before 2020 happened, but Trump managed it. This district didn't shift to the left very much, unlike many other states. It really didn't, and that was really surprising to many. This shows that they don't mind right policies. They're pretty far right. And Cruz will do well in the rural areas. We do have to remember that also, which will make me give Iowa and Ohio to Ted Cruz. He will do well in the rural areas, and that's what he needs in Rust Belt states like Iowa and Ohio. Moving on. Alaska will be likely for him. Trump won this by 10.5%. Cruz will do about the same. In his home state of Texas, it's not going to be lean, and it's surely not going to be solid. Sure, he's unpopular here, but Biden isn't even from here. It's not like a senatorial race where we have both people are from this state. Cruz comes from this state. More Republicans will be encouraged to vote for him because he comes from this state. Less Democrats will be encouraged, especially mixed with the president's unpopularity. I believe that South Carolina will be likely for him. Went to Trump by 11.7 points. It's not going to shift 5 points. I really don't think so. It's not going to shift 5 points to the left or the right. I don't think so. It might shift 2 or 3 points, or really 3 or 4 points to the right. But I don't see it becoming a solid state, and I don't see it becoming a lean state either. Okay. I mean, there might be a few more likely states for Biden in reality. I mean, New Mexico and Colorado, 2 states I'm a bit iffy on. But looking back, I mean, remember what I was saying about the Cruz's unlikability, especially in more generally liberal states, and how Democrats will be encouraged to vote for him more. And that goes for the 2 states of New Mexico and Colorado. I'm going to make New Mexico lean, just because he does have some appeal here. He comes right next door from Texas. More Republicans will trust him when it comes to jobs and how he knows the terrain. I don't know. Sometimes people might think I don't know what I'm talking about, but I have reasoning. I just have a tough time saying it. But I think Colorado, saying how progressive, they have a lot of young progressives, and I really see these young progressives turning on Ted Cruz because of how far right he is, about how unpopular and unlikable he is. But New Mexico, I see this as a state that could shift about 5 points, just because Cruz does come from the Sun Belt, while Colorado is more with more cities, and then the rural areas are less populated. There's not a big rural vote in the state of Colorado. So New Mexico, lean. Colorado, likely. I see Cruz having the edge in the state of Arizona. I think it's going to be a lean win for him here. I mean, Nevada the same. I'll make it a tilt margin just because this is a more bluer state. And as I was saying, I'm just going to repeat that thing over and over, how the Democrats will be more encouraged to come out and vote for Biden rather than stay home and let Cruz win, right? But still, I do think Cruz would have the edge in the state of Nevada. And then Arizona, just because he does have this Sun Belt appeal. He has an appeal down here. Trump supporters will turn out for him, and some Biden supporters, some, not a lot, but, not like 50%, obviously, but some will stay home, and ultimately in these 2 states that will give Ted Cruz the edge. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, Nebraska second. This is, I guess you could say, is part of the Rust Belt if you classify Iowa as the Rust Belt, because it's like right near there. It's just one little congressional district, but I do think Ted Cruz would also have the edge in Nebraska's second district, just because Biden is unpopular here in the Midwest, and Ted Cruz, I think, would do just fine here. And ultimately, if you're a Republican and you're going to do, quote-unquote, just fine here, you have the edge because of how unpopular Biden is, even if you're someone like Ted Cruz. Moving down to Florida, I think this will be lean for Biden. In many scenarios, I make this likely, but there might be a few Trump supporters who will stay home from. Not many. There really won't be many, but there will be a few who will maybe vote third party, like Constitution Party. I don't know. Just because Trump kind of bashed him in the 2016 GOP primary. So, Florida has no shot at going for Biden whatsoever. Sure, it's only 3.4%, but in 2024, which will be a red wave year, where all states are shifting to the right, Florida certainly won't shift to the left. Florida won't certainly be one of those 3 states that shift the other way than the rest of the nation does, because of how conservative it is. Cruz, sure, he's unlikable, but Cruz will win here. It's a simple step. I see Cruz definitely taking back the state of Georgia, and I think I see him keeping the state of North Carolina in Republican hands. Biden won't turn out African Americans as much as he did in 2020, because, think about it. He hasn't passed any bills. He has tried to with voting rights, but it was blocked, and that's not what Americans care about. They care whether or not Biden's bills are benefiting them. But when you think about it, there was no legislation that helped African Americans that was passed through the Senate. So African Americans will turn out for less for him, and we have to remember this: it's going to be a red wave year, and swing states like Georgia, North Carolina, they could very well go to the Republican. They could very well go to whatever the other side that they did in 2020. So Minnesota, I was debating whether or not to make it likely. I don't think it's going to be likely. I think it's going to be very close to being likely. I think it's going to be about 4.5% as of right now in Biden versus Cruz. I do think it will be lean for Joe Biden, and look in the description for my margins. I mean, I worked really hard on that description. Please check it out. Anyway, what was I even talking about? Oh yeah, my margins. So under 5%. I think it's going to be just under 5%. And then when it passes 5%, that means it is a likely margin. So Minnesota is pretty tough. I'm just whether or not to make it lean or likely. I mean, remember I was saying about the Oregon thing and New Jersey and Connecticut, how Democrats are going to be more likely to turn out in bluer states than they will in redder states. Well, I think that will go for Minnesota, but just because of the bad national environment for the Democratic Party, and we will have more information after the midterms, and we're going to see if the Democrats are really doing that bad, but the 2021 election shows us that they are, not necessarily the recall, but that was early in the year, but definitely Virginia and New Jersey. Alright, moving on. Tough. These states are pretty easy, and it really doesn't matter because Cruz wins either way. But I mean, Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, I think they're both going to go lean for Cruz. I mean, just because of Biden's unpopularity. And sure, and remember, Democrats won't, and as I was saying, with the blue states, with the more generally liberal states, Democrats will be more encouraged to turn out and vote for Biden there. But in swing states, they won't be, so I do think that Cruz will have the edge in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, and plus Biden is unpopular in this Rust Belt. Now, Michigan is really hard because I see them really rejecting Ted Cruz. He's so far right. I mean, out of the Rust Belt, I think out of the entire, no, not the entire blue wall, but out of the blue wall, I mean, this state shifted the most to the right. It really did. So I don't know. It really is tough, cause here's a better way to put it. I don't see many Michiganders, is that what they're called? Michiganites? Tell me in the comments. But I don't see them liking Cruz very much at all. He's too far right. And Michigan is a pretty liberal state when it comes to the Democratic Party, when it comes to independence. All that, pretty liberal. I mean, go back to 2008. It goes solidly for Obama. Insane. But yeah, it goes solidly for Obama by 16.5%. It's pretty amazing. So Michigan, but here's the thing. So I was saying about that, how much they would hate Cruz. But then on the other hand, Biden, he's not going to turn out as many Democrats. And remember, I was saying with Georgia, no civil rights legislation or voting rights legislation has benefited any African Americans because it hasn't been passed. Sure, he tried to, but some African Americans won't. That's many Americans, I should say. It's just that's not what they care about. As I was saying, has it benefited them? No. Do they care if he tried to? No, it hasn't benefited them. So I think that by tilt margin, definitely tilt either way, going to give Ted Cruz the state of Michigan. Just a lot of Democrats will stay home, and ultimately that's what will end it. The state of New Hampshire, I mean, I'll give it to Biden. I think it's going to be tilt. I don't see them liking Cruz very much. It did go to him by 7.4% in 2020, so, I have reason to believe. Alright, anyway, that wraps up today's video. Ted Cruz wins the presidency, wow, with 312 electoral votes to Joe Biden's 226. So, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Like if you did. Well, I don't even care about likes. I just care about views and comments and subscriptions. Comment down below for more ideas. Check out the channels in the description. If you like this channel, then you'll love a bunch of these other channels that I listed. And yeah, hop on for my next video. Thank you.